Pride at Work is a constituency group of the AFL-CIO. It is the LGBTQ arm of the labor movement. It is the labor arm of the LGBTQ movement.
Pride at Work is an organization committed to defending the rights of LGBT union members and working people across the country.
A collaboration of unions together.
Communication Workers of America, Unite Here, UFCW, AFA, TWU is involved.
We've been working to build relationships with international unions and local unions all across the country. Pride at Work can serve as a resource to help an LGBT member make sure that their rights are respected and their contract is enforced.
It also educates folks who may not be aware of the LGBT issues that are of concern.
In places without an Employment Non-Discrimination Act, the only protection that a worker has is their union contract.
We spend a lot of time at work. The environment in which we do work in needs to be safe and comfortable.
Many people are relying on their union contract to give them job protections, to allow them to be out and honest in the workplace.
Pride at Work has come in to educate.
Pride at Work does trainings, conferences.
We train on everything from LGBT 101, what gender identity is, employment non-discrimination, how to write a contract that protects LGBT people. Union leaders don't necessarily look and sound and act and love like union members. And I think that's something that we've been working hard to change.
As a labor community, to adopt the practices and the principles of inclusion and equality in the workplace.
Labor has always been a part of the civil rights movements of so many groups. And sometimes they're there at the beginning, sometimes they come a little bit later.
I think labor hasn't been any slower than the country at large, but it has been slow, not just for LGBT people, but for women, for people of color.
Pride at Work was created about 20 plus years ago in order to change the culture of labor to make sure all members are represented.
We try to put an LGBT lens on economic issues, on political issues.
LGBT workers are discriminated against on a regular basis. They can still be fired in over half of all the states in the country. They need a voice on the job as much as anyone, and unions are able to give them that voice.
What we do here, it really does strengthen the broader movement towards social and economic equality.
We are the 99%! We are the 99%!
We need to be out front and make sure that economic and identity issues are seen hand in hand.
One of my fellow union sisters is transgender. Because she chose to go through the transition, she was frowned upon for job opportunities, which she was highly qualified for. Pride at Work has come together to fight for her, and she prevailed.
For many years, transgender people were routinely denied health insurance coverage for anything related to being transgender. You had to bear a very great cost out of pocket. People who were less well paid were greatly restricted in their ability to live their lives fully. Pride at Work has intervened in those struggles over the years
to make sure that LGBT issues are at the negotiating table when we're negotiating contracts.
We've advocated for civil rights legislation to cover transgender people, anti-discrimination for all gay, lesbian, bi, and trans workers. We were instrumental in persuading legislators to make the federal bill fully trans-inclusive.
The labor movement has done a better job in terms of reaching out to different communities and talking about how can we work with you versus here's what we want to do, how can you help us?
Building alliances is one way to change the world. I think allies are an important part of any movement. The more people you can have to speak, the louder your message can be.
If we aren't working together, whether we're LGBTQ or not, we're not going to get far.
We need allies to build majorities.
That applies whether the other person is like you or not.
For me, there's a difference between being an ally and being in solidarity. Being in solidarity is a noun. Being an ally is something that requires action. What are you going to do to join the fight?
An ally is the person who it's not happening to them, but they give a shit about it.
What unites us is more important than what divides us.
And that's what the labor movement is all about. That's what the LGBT movement is all about. We're a movement of allies, and that's Pride at Work.
LGBT people have been our neighbors, have been our co-workers, have been family members and friends since the beginning of time.
I think it's important to be your true self in every facet of your life. At the office, at home, with your friends, with your family.
Your life as a worker and your life as an LGBT person are intertwined. You're not effective as a worker if you are carrying a load of secrets. Coming out, it doesn't erase all of those things immediately. It is the one sure way to get beyond them eventually.
It is the most important piece of activism that any LGBT person can do.
I'm now out for 18 years. and I really don't give a darn.
Labor has definitely come a lot farther than it was when the organization was first started.
The new American majority is people of color, women, millennials, and LGBT people. It's critically important to make sure that labor is paying attention to that.
Pride at Work is a real power player in helping ensure LGBT workers have a voice on the job, have a stake in their communities, and have a better life.
We are a moral movement for LGBT rights, for women's rights, for immigrant rights. We're going to keep pushing forward progressive LGBTQ issues to make a world that's better for all of us.